Toria. And TT Toria is a hand and eye coordination game that has to do with some sticks. So I need some volunteers. Auntie has some sticks for you. Let me see, how many sticks do we have, Auntie? Okay, we need 4 volunteers. Here's one right there. And let's see, how about you right there, sweetheart? And this boy over here. And, okay, there you go, right there. They need to grab these sticks, 2 sticks each. Up in the air twice. Down, together, together, down, together, together, down, together, together, and stop. You girls move a little closer together. Move a little closer. All right. Now these 2 over here, they look pretty good, so we're going to demonstrate how this is done. Okay, down, together, throw, go, down, hit, throw, throw, throw. Okay, try that again. Ready, go. Down, hit, throw, down, hit, throw, down. Okay, girls, can you try this? Ready, go. Down, hit, throw. Not too hard. Ready, go. Down, hit, throw. That's it. The secret, if you don't throw your sticks, your partner can't catch them. Okay, try it again. The last section, go. Down, hit, throw. Just about. Try that again. Down, hit, throw both. Down, hit, throw both. Down, hit, throw both. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, stop right there. Everybody give them a big round of applause. And we'll have these 2 switch back. Okay, Theodore, you go back to your original partner. Let's have these girls turn around. Stand up, turn around. You 2 guys face the audience. Can you do a bow? Bow to these guys. And I'll give you a big round of applause. Okay, now these 2 over here were not too bad, so we're going to have them demonstrate. All right from the beginning. All right, here we go. Ready, go. Papa wai takne mai takne down hit right down hit left down hit change where come my again right from the beginning hip up change Okay, how about a big round of applause? Ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you that in New Zealand, our Maori people arrived there around about 950 AD. When they arrived in New Zealand, they arrived in great ocean-going vessels. And there were 7 of them. And all the Maori people of New Zealand tie their genealogies back to one of the canoes. Now these weren't just little canoes, they were large ocean-going canoes. And with them, they carried people who had come from a different land. And they came from an ancient homeland that they called Hawaii. And when we were children growing up in New Zealand, our uncles and aunties, our parents would teach us the genealogies of our people. And they would teach us in the form of chants. Many of the chants that you have in the Hawaiian culture are the same as the Maoris. Sound a little bit different. But we say things like this when we're chanting our genealogy. Pōpōtangia na tama ki te kaima, no waione tiki aka ki te paua hau kai. Hei ama te paka ki te utara, hei wai mo tamakia mauria mai e tōti punu e rua nuku whakarongo ko te kumara. Ko pāri nu te rā, ka iki mata te tapu ai o tangaro, tangaro. Ka haru hiru, ka noho aru, ka noho ia nganganga i puta mai e warora. Ko te autu, ko te au kore, ko hene tuahanga, ko tangaro te patu o pautini e. Kei te kukumetanga mai o Hawaiki. Ko te au hua ia o te mauiri wharakino. Ka noho ia wai o pani kakawia ki te manariki. Nā one hunga, nā one rere, nā te pierere. Nā te wharaoho ake ki utara te pipi wharoro. Nā pena koe wahoe. And that's how our people recorded their genealogies. They recorded it in the form of charts. Now, when I was a little boy, I had to learn this chart. My uncle taught me. He had a big stick, and he said, say the chart. And he taught us by memory. We weren't allowed to write it down. We never wrote down the genealogies. We had to recite it from memory. And we would go, and boom, the stick came. Don't forget. And he said again, say it again, and again. And we'd go on, ke te kukumetanga mai, boom. No, you cannot forget. Because if you forget, you just messed up all our genealogy. So you couldn't forget. And he had a tool, the stick, to help us remember. But we remembered because we loved what we were learning, not because of the stick. The stick was just to get our attention. And then we moved on. Let me tell you about this chart that I just charted to you. You see, our Maori people came into the islands. We were the most southern of all of the Polynesian groups. We took the longest boat ride. And our people moved back and forth from the islands. They knew where Rarotonga was. They knew where Tahiti was. They knew where Hawaii was. Because they had navigators who could take them those great different distances. This chart talks about the voyage. They had come from a land that was two great land areas separated by an isthmus. That was the chart. When they came, they brought with them certain things. They brought with them the sweet potato, the yam, the coconut, the taro. And when they arrived in New Zealand, they found that some of the things did not grow there because New Zealand has 4 seasons, and in winter it gets very cold. So when they planted the coconut, it did not grow. It was too cold there for it to grow. When they planted the taro, it was too cold for it to grow. But the yams and the kumara that we mentioned, or the sweet potato, it grew abundantly in New Zealand. And when they chanted these chants, they talked of their ancient homeland called Hawaiki. Hawaiki Nui, the big land. Hawaiki Roa, it was long way away. Hawaiki Pamamau. And they would say these chants over and over again. When they arrived in New Zealand, they were greeted by a little bird called the pipifaro. It's kind of like a little fantail. It flitters around. And when they saw it, they saw the pipifaro and they said, Te pipifaro nā whena koe wahoe. When they arrived in New Zealand, they were wearing beautiful red and orange robes. It tells in the charts. But when they got to New Zealand, they saw a beautiful tree. This tree grows right on the coastline, and it was in flower at the time that they arrived. And when it was in flower, it was a beautiful red plume on the tree, and they called it the Pohutukawa tree. And the Pohutukawa was in full bloom. So they took off their royal robes because they now had seen the beautiful colors of the Pohutukawa tree.